Hey Rick, how's it going?
Hey, John Howard.
It's all right. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up the intro real quick.
Sounds
So,
good.
all right. Hello, movie lovers. Welcome to the best damn movie related show here on the internet. This is your host, as always, for Movie Lovers Unite, John DiGorio, and I just want to say it's an honor and a privilege to be able to talk about movies in front of a virtual water cooler. And for today's podcast, it's going to be our top 10 show. This is actually going to be mine and Rick's top 10 Tarantino movies. So sit back, enjoy. I hope you guys enjoy it. And Rick, go on ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Rick. I'm a big fan of Tarantino movies, big fan of John on this page, and I'm pretty excited to be here again.
Glad to have you back. So, this is going to be the first thing that I want to go on ahead and do and talk about what of the. This is actually not even a Tarantino film. This is actually a movie that he wrote in order for him to go and make Reservoir Dogs. And that movie is True Romance. And True Romance, of course, is about, this guy who's obsessed with Elvis who winds up what he winds up doing, he falls in love with a prostitute named Tennessee, I believe, and then, of course, they wind up taking her suitcase, thinking that it's her clothes, but really it's cocaine belonging to the Italian mob. The Italian mob guy is actually Christopher Walken. So, and everything through this whole entire movie is just fantastic. I love the way the whole entire setup is, and then of course, with it being directed by a different director and not by Quentin Tarantino, and they still managed to keep Tarantino kind of flavor to it. They still did a fantastic job with it, even with the blood and stuff. But do you have any questions about the movie, though?
No, I mean, if you mix Tarantino writing with Christopher Walken, I mean, that's all I gotta say for me. It just sounds like a Tarantino film. Even though he's not the one to direct it. Yeah, a prostitute stealing cocaine from a criminal boss with this whole crazy love story entwined with lots of blood and violence. That that sounds like Tarantino. I would watch that.
Right?
So
It
one of
kind
the
of
few
makes
I
you.
haven't seen,
Mm.
and I really want to now that like after hearing you describe it because it sounds freaking awesome.
Dude, it really is. Like I said before, at one time or another, I remember going into a Blockbuster probably and just ignoring it, thinking that it's just a love story. And I'm like, nah, I don't think so. Even the cover on itself is even misleading as well.
I
If you
mean,
look
if someone was like, "Oh, True Romance," a Tarantino movie, would be like, "What? He doesn't write chick flicks."
exactly. And especially if you watch the movie, it says written by Quentin Tarantino. And you're like, wait, he wrote a romance movie?
Best damn
This is
romance movie ever.
right. And another thing too is it kind of reminds you in a way. It's like, okay, let's go on. The guy gets the girl, and he's like, okay, let's go on ahead and escape to Mexico or somewhere else to get away from everything. And at the same time, you have these Italian mob bosses following you the whole entire ride. That's what it seems like to me when I'm watching it. It's something along those lines, you know?
Sounds good to me. I
All
want to
right.
watch it.
If I ever run across it or whatever, and if I run into it at like Walmart on a Blu-ray or DVD, I'll send it to you.
Oh, nice. I would love
So
that. I
I'll
gotta
go.
check on all my streaming things if it's on there too. I gotta find out because I got a couple. But we'll
Well,
see.
if you have Amazon, do you have like Amazon Prime?
Yeah.
Check out Amazon Prime and see if they have it because I know they have a big, huge catalog, so it might be in there.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out.
But what's your number one?
My number one is Inglorious Bastards. I absolutely love that movie. I'm a history teacher, and it's about, it's World War II, but it's not World War II because it's in the Tarantino universe. Tarantino likes to do a lot of kind of non, non-historically accurate history. There's another movie that he does where he kind of changes historical events and stuff. And I like that because alternate history is always something that is fun to talk about, especially as a history teacher with my history friends of, oh, what if this and what if that? And this is pretty much a story about what if a bunch of American badasses assassinated Hitler? And not only is it's not just about them, and they're not really the ones that make it my favorite Tarantino movie. What makes it my favorite Tarantino movie is pretty much really it's the bad guy. through the whole thing, and that is played by Christoph Waltz, and I love him in this movie. He is such a good actor in this movie, and he plays Colonel Hans, and he's such a good Nazi. He's a bad guy that you hate him because he's such an evil, terrible, bad person, but you love him at the same time because he's just so freaking good at it and so suave at the same time when he's doing it. And like that opening farm scene when he's just talking, it gave me goosebumps the first time I saw it. It was just so good. His whole mannerism, the whole way he carried himself through that scene, it's just like, holy shit. Like, don't
Right?
mess with this guy.
That's what sold me with that character too. Is like, okay, this is one character you do not want to come across, and you don't want to lie to this character. Otherwise, you're gonna be dead, and your whole family is gonna be dead.
Yeah, I mean, he carries himself so you would think that a World War II movie like Hitler's the bad guy. You know, like that's
Right?
in
It's
most World War
like,
II movies, that's how it goes. Hitler's the bad guy, but in this one, I mean, Hitler's in it. The whole
right?
movie is about assassinating Hitler, but he's not really the bad guy in it.
Right. If you think about it, Hitler's like secondary, and this guy is like first in
Yeah,
command. Everything.
Hitler's almost like made fun of in the movie,
Right.
as like a child with a temper tantrum wearing a cape of the swastika, which is hilarious.
Now you're
But
super mad.
but like I love this movie. This movie is so well done. Follows a whole bunch of different characters, doing different things leading up to the same goal. And Brad Pitt is also so awesome in this movie, such a badass, and all the people that he recruits to help him out are just so awesome. I love that movie. It's my favorite Tarantino movie, definitely.
Like you said, this is what makes my favorite Tarantino movie too, as well. I actually have this on number 3 on my list. So to seeing it like on your number 1 list, that's actually pretty cool. But what makes this my favorite Tarantino movie is you have all these pieces moving, and you don't know what direction that he's going in with this. You're thinking that this director has like ADD, where you have these puzzle pieces moving in separate places, but it all ties in. And once it actually hits like towards the end and everything, it all comes together. And you're like, oh my God, this is something that, that is just extraordinary, that hasn't even been done before as a what if kind of story within the whole entire World War II kind of era that we haven't gotten before. And then not only that, but you also have what's his name from Austin Powers in it. You have
Uh,
Mike Myers in it.
oh yes, 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 yes.
Yeah,
Um,
Mike Myers. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool because he's also Jewish. So
yeah, he's the general, right? Yeah, I forgot.
yeah,
Like, which is fantastic.
right,
Look, I think it's a cool movie because, like you said, it's a whole bunch of different people doing different things, having no idea that they're actually affecting each other in the end with a common goal, and just them like meeting in this one scene that is just so awesome. And I mean, there's a lot of really cool characters, a lot of great actors in it. And I mean, yeah, it's World War II, but it is completely fictionalized. Really, like the only thing that's historically accurate is that there were Nazis and there's Hitler.
right,
And like
and
everything else is just completely like not, just some crazy story, but it's awesome.
right. And then there's also another thing that I like too was with Brad Pitt's character. You can actually tell that he's one of those guys that are this big, huge, macho guy that wants to take down Hitler. And not only that, but his gang that he has with him. It's like, you better watch out for these guys because these guys are next level of outside the military kind of people where they just don't give a shit
Oh
about
yeah,
anything.
got the Bear Jew and just so many badass dudes. Hugo Stiglitz, that was it. Just an ex-Nazi dude who literally just is a psychopath for murder. He's just awesome. So many cool
but
characters in this movie.
but another thing too is I was going to tell you about the actor I was thinking about the other night that I was trying to tell you about was Sam Levine. Sam Levine played the little short guy that was part of Brad Pitt's group.
Okay, okay.
And he's in the Ultimate Schmodown. Well, he was, but he retired. But it's just a movie trivia show where basically you have intergeekdom belts. You're competing against other competitors. Who's the best with the as far as being a Schmodown competitor with movie trivia, and it's actually kind of like a WWE kind of setting where they actually have people that are good guys and bad guys and stuff like that.
That's pretty awesome.
It is.
That
Matter of
that
fact,
sounds pretty sweet.
you know what they actually did? They went to Texas to Booker T's wrestling ring, and they actually had a movie trivia Schmodown competitor thing in a wrestling ring, and they even had tables, ladders, and chairs and stuff like that.
That's awesome.
So it's actually pretty cool. Uh, but yeah, I caught on to the Schmodown around 2013, 2014, whenever it was just called the Schmo's No Show. Now it's called SEN Live. But they're still doing it. They're still doing the Schmodown and stuff. But anyways, backtracking with Inglorious Bastards. I mean, the other thing that I really enjoyed was the whole aspect where you have Hitler that is going to a movie theater to get away from everything. And I'm like, wow, this guy wants to get away from his own chaos to get away from all that. That
Movie.
is.
So the history teacher in me is coming out right now. During the 1920s and 1930s, and into the 1940s, still the movie industry blew up. Those were the years of the movies, and a big reason for that was you were poor and depressed, and you wanted to escape your life even for just a couple of hours, so you went to the movies.
Right.
And the movie industry boomed in that time. That's where like a lot of the big famous characters from later on got their start. Was in that time frame. So yeah, a lot of people, including Hitler, went to the movies.
Let's see. For my number, this is gonna be my number two, and that is Reservoir Dogs. And I actually have the soundtrack to Reservoir Dogs. I forgot to tell you that. And the soundtrack in itself actually describes the whole entire theme of this movie and everything. It sets everything up perfectly. As a matter of fact, I remember, coming into it in the middle of the movie, and at that time I had like a real hate and love relationship with Quentin Tarantino, where I'm not sure what to think of his shooting style. Because if you don't see Reservoir Dogs from the very beginning, you're going to be totally lost.
Oh
So
yeah.
I recommend anybody who wants to see Reservoir Dogs, if you haven't seen Reservoir Dogs, start off from the very beginning. Otherwise, it's not going to make any sense at all in this movie. But I love whenever they're going into this thing where they're hiding out from the cops, and it goes into flashback mode where they're setting up this bank heist and everything, and one person's Mr. Gray, Mr. Green, and all that stuff, and then you can't beat the actors that's actually in this movie at all. And that's what I loved about Reservoir Dogs was how real it actually was and how gritty it was. And it has a lot of blood by the time the climax actually hits because of the fact it's a Tarantino film.
I mean, that's a staple in pretty much every Tarantino film.
Right.
You walk into a Tarantino film knowing that there's going to be a lot of cursing and a lot of blood.
That's one thing I've been noticing though. Like he takes a while now for it to build before he actually does the whole blood bath. Before it used to be like bloodbath, and that's all you got. It used to be where it was.
Yeah, that's true.
And I like the fact that he ends up putting it up there where it's building up to something, and it's actually, and like we said before with the whole gore thing, the violence in the movies is actually needed because it's actually part of the whole plot point and the character of who they are.
Oh yeah, it's not senseless violence. Like I've said it before and I'll say it again. I love horror movies. One of my favorite movie genres. Can't really stand a lot of modern horror movies because I feel like it's just jump scares and meaningless blood. Blood for no reason. Why do you need blood? Oh well, it's blood. It's scary, but it doesn't serve a purpose. You don't
It's just
need
gore
that
factor.
blood. Yeah, exactly. They kind of just throw it in there. Tarantino doesn't do that. He knows when the right time to use this violence is, and it is part of the story. It's not just very violent movies, but in the best way possible.
Right? But what do you like about Reservoir Dogs? What makes it stand out as make it on your list?
So I think one of the things I like the most about it, because it is on my list too, um, is that so it's not may not be the first film that he wrote, but it's the first film he directed. and it was an instant hit and an instant classic. Like his first movie, um, like Tarantino fans know about it very well, and I mean, and even better, it was an independent movie. It wasn't even attached to a major film company or anything. It was an independent one, and he got characters like Steve Buscemi and stuff, and people like that to be in it, like big name actors.
I
And
forgot about that. I forgot about Steve Buscemi being up in that too, because he wasn't a big star during that time like he is now.
but he got and he, like you said, an awesome soundtrack, awesome storyline, all this stuff. And it's his first movie didn't have all the major funding that his movies nowadays do because he's become so big, and it was still knocked it out of the park. It's such a good movie. It is, Tarantino. It's violent, it's graphic, but the storyline is awesome. Just like the suspense through that, like throughout that movie of them trying to figure out what went wrong in this heist. It's just so good.
It really is. And then you're wondering if there's like a snitch or anything like that that was actually involved with everything too.
Yeah, man, such a good movie. It's been a while since I've seen it, uh, but I actually think I own it. I gotta watch it again.
As a
I
matter of
like
fact, I
that
need to
movie.
go digging through Walmart's $5 bin because it's a couple of years ago. I saw it in the $5 bin. I had it in my hand, but then I'm like, no, I need to have this more than I do a movie at this moment. So I had to put it down.
Ah, that
I had
sucks.
to put my I had to put my priorities in check. So,
Yeah, well, I mean that's a good
but
thing too.
right, but you know what the cool thing is about Reservoir Dogs is it actually got nominated for Independent Spirit Award for Best First Feature, and it got Independent Spirit Award for Best Director.
And that's just like I said, that's awesome because it was independent. Like he was doing it himself, and that goes to show like if you're really dedicated to it, you can do it even uh without all the money backing it up. I think
Exactly.
it still regularly makes like the top independent films list as like one of the greatest independent films ever made too.
Right, and if it wasn't for True Romance, we wouldn't even have this movie. Same thing with him doing that Elvis thing over at on the Golden Girls. We wouldn't have
Yeah.
Reservoir Dogs.
It also goes to show you where his passion was with this movie because he wrote, True Romance, and he didn't even direct it or anything because he wanted Reservoir Dogs so bad, and I mean, and he was in it too. It was Mr. Brown, so
Right.
it's a great movie. I love it. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I still remember it because it's just left that much of an impression on me. It's an awesome movie.
What's your number two, though?
My number two is Pulp Fiction.
Mm.
Uh, I feel like it has gone down as like a cult classic kind of movie. Um, like almost everybody has heard of it at some point. It's been made into memes and all kinds of stuff because it's and yeah, like there's some pretty awesome parts of the movie that are funny like that, but overall it's just a badass movie. Like you got John Travolta, Samuel L. Jackson, Bruce Willis, Uma Thurman, like, and just throughout that movie, they're just freaking awesome. Uh, and I love the relationship between John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson, their characters throughout it. Like, they're so buddy buddy, and they're like psychopaths at the same time, and it's fantastic. And it's another movie where multiple people are doing multiple things, not really realizing that they're influencing each other in some way, and it's all gonna like come together in the end. But it's just a classic. There's so many parts of it that get brought up, like even get made fun of, like the syringe in the chest through the overdose thing. There's a whole bunch of cartoons that always make fun of that, like Family Guy and stuff. But like it's just such a good movie, and it's so badass.
Let's see. What I loved about Pulp Fiction, matter of fact, I have this as my number seven. So, but what I liked about Pulp Fiction was the chemistry between Samuel L. Jackson and also John Travolta. I've also liked the setup where you have all these people moving, like I mentioned before, with Inglourious Basterds, and then of course of them influencing each other and not knowing that they're influencing each other. Then the diner scene alone at the opening scene was actually pretty neat because you're being first introduced to everything. And then the other thing I liked was how real the chemistry is between Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta, where you can actually feel like you're having a normal conversation with a buddy about certain things in a car on a car ride. Like for instance, John Travolta is talking about how much bullshit Hollywood is and everything and how fake it is. And then then one of the guys in the back of the car, he's sitting in the back of the car and everything, and John Travolta, of course, has his gun in his hand and he's facing him and he's asking him a question. And as he's asking him a question, all of a sudden the gun goes off and he accidentally kills the guy who has blood all over him.
Oh
And
yeah.
Samuel Jackson's like, "What the hell is wrong with you?"
I love the chemistry between those two. Like you really feel like they're real friends in real life, not just actors. It doesn't feel forced or anything like that. I like some of it has to be ad libbed or something because it just feels so natural, the two of them talking. And it's another thing that's kind of gone down in movie history is the whole Royale with cheese thing that comes up. John Travolta says it brings up in another one of my favorite movies by him, From Paris with Love. Super underrated, but he brings up the Royale with cheese, and like he's referencing back to Pulp Fiction. Like like yes, 100% the reason why he said that.
Not to mention, he was so good in that For Paris with Love movie, though. I mean, I really enjoyed his character.
Oh yeah, it's so underrated. Such an underrated movie. I love that movie. And I feel like every time I mention it to people, like either so few people have seen it or even heard of it, and it's great. It's super awesome. And John Travolta is such a badass in it.
He is. It just shows you the level and how good of an actor he actually is and everything. And he's getting so much crap now with
Mm,
memes, just like Nicolas Cage is. I just feel bad for him in a way because I want a big comeback for John Travolta.
I do too. He's been in a couple of shit movies lately, which is unfortunate.
To
But
be honest with you, Gotti could have been better, but you had certain people leaving projects. You had certain directors leaving, writers changing stuff up. And matter of fact, they even had a flat screen whenever it was supposed to be set in the 70s, and you can actually see the flat screen in the background.
oh jeez.
So I'm like, yeah, this is poorly done. But that's one thing though. He doesn't actually try to force his acting. You can actually believe that he's that character.
Yeah, he's good at what he does.
But
What's next on your list though?
number 4 would be Django Unchained. And what I want to mention too is when Tarantino actually makes his movies, he goes through his whole entire vinyl stuff where he picks out the songs for the soundtrack, and he actually pictures his characters moving with the songs that he's actually picking up from the vinyl stuff. So
His
when he got Django, he picked up a bunch of country songs.
the soundtracks to his movies are always pretty spot on. They're always pretty awesome. He does them well. Um, the songs feel like they go there, so I can definitely see him doing that.
Most definitely. And then the chemistry with Jamie Foxx and Christoph Waltz is really good too. And I know you mentioned this before, where it's kind of like a love story in a way because of the fact that Jamie Foxx is trying to find his wife that got sold because she's a slave, and while he's doing that, he's also doing bounty hunting. So along the way, he's trying to make his way to his wife wherever she may be.
Yeah,
And
yeah, bounty
then
bounty hunting and hitmen and like paid contract killers, all that stuff like comes up pretty often in a lot of his movies. Uh,
that's what I loved about his movies, though. I love the hitman's kind of thing to it, and also to bounty hunters and stuff like that. It keeps the
in
story
most movies,
flowing.
they're the bad guys, and he makes them
Right,
out to be the heroes in his ones.
right. Of course, I also like the whole entire KKK thing because of Jonah Hill being in it
Yeah, I
and
didn't
everything
realize
too.
that was him. I totally had
Yeah.
no idea that was him for forever.
Well, it's such a nice mask. And everybody's talking so much crap because the masks just don't go well or anything like that. Because I had to make my eyes bigger because I can't see shit out of it. And the guy goes, "My wife worked really hard for that." The guy
It's
is
so
opening.
funny.
It really was. That piece of dialogue right there made me laugh my butt off. And then, of course, another thing is Leonardo DiCaprio and Samuel L. Jackson in it as well. I really love the chemistry with them two. You can actually know that Samuel L. Jackson's the butler to Leonardo DiCaprio and everything for years for years ago. Probably
Oh
back
yeah.
when, and I thought that was actually pretty cool. And then, of course, I always love this though, where Leonardo DiCaprio cuts his hand and he just doesn't even care that his hand is cut, and that's totally improv
Oh
from
yeah,
him.
he really busted his hand. He was bleeding and everything, and that was not supposed to happen. That was complete accident, and that just shows like Leo was so awesome because he just kept rolling with it. He just kept going on with the scene, and it was so ended up being so good that that's the scene they used. Uh, and it's just awesome. I feel like uh a lot of actors. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson is in so many of his movies, and he reuses quite a few of them. Christopher Waltz, we already talked about too. Leo ends up in another movie that is on my list, and it's the thing that like I feel like he really respects his actors and how they do it, and allows them to kind of add their own flavor to it in a way. Because it seems like he's got a really good relationship going on with his actors.
I agree. His actor, that's the job of the director, though, is to get the best, the whole, basically getting the best he can out of his actors, and that's what a job of a director is supposed to do. And I love the fact that he uses the same actors and everything else because he knows that if he pays them a certain amount of money, that he's going to get the best out of his actors and
Oh yeah,
everything, and he feels comfortable with them, opposed to getting someone new. I know people make jokes about Johnny Depp and Tim Burton and stuff like that, and also Tarantino working with the same actors, and even Martin Scorsese. But hey, if you can get your actors to work for you and play those characters the way you're supposed to play them, go for it and everything. Yeah, you
yeah.
might go out of you might be in your safe zone, but at least you know that you can actually bank on the fact that it's going to make money. Not only that, but you know that people are going to come out and see it because number one, it's a Tarantino film, and Leonardo DiCaprio is going to deliver every single time.
Yeah, I mean it's a safe zone, but it's a safe zone you want to be in. Like Uma Thurman again is in a ton of his movies, and it's there's an obvious reason for it. If they obviously get along and work well together, I mean, and they deliver in his movies, and so you gotta respect that. But I also really like Django Unchained. It's a pretty cool movie. I like the whole, you know, the love story attached to it, but it's still also kind of a story of like revenge in a way of getting back at, this whole system. And it's really cool. It's a great movie. Of course, it's super cool gunfights and it's just awesome in that whole aspect. But overall, it's still a fantastic movie. It's very well done.
You know what makes me laugh though? Like there's this part where he's in the mansion or whatever, and the guy is and Samuel L. Jackson's character is talking or whatever, and all of a sudden I think he just blasts the guy away, or it was one of the maids. I'm not sure what it was, but all of a sudden the body just goes flying, and I just cracked up laughing because of how the body winds up flying.
Yeah, Samuel L. Jackson was fantastic in the movie. He's so crazy. It was like bug eyes. Just he's awesome.
And another thing too is, did you know they actually came out with Django Unchained cereal?
No, that sounds
Yeah, yeah,
awesome.
yeah. It sounds awesome, but it's also bad though because they
Oh,
keep using.
really?
Yeah, it's like the most racist cereal that you can actually eat. That's how
Oh my
bad it is.
God.
Yeah, like on
Why does that
Screen
not
Rant,
surprise me?
like I was watching the people who do the honest trailers. They actually have a show that they actually do, and Hal Rudnick was actually looking at the cereal and everything. And matter of fact, they actually banned the cereal because how racist it actually is.
That's so funny.
And you know what? I'll even admit it. It is racist. It is like the most racist thing that you can actually eat because of the way. Because number one, it has guns in it. Not only does it have a gun in it, it has a whip. It has other stuff in it that's actually racist.
I gotta find this somewhere. It's on eBay for like $100 for a box or something.
It's really bad. I'm like, Yeah, you guys shouldn't have actually made that. That
That's
was just
funny.
wrong on so many levels. But anyways, what's your number four?
Let's see. My number four was Reservoir Dogs and Django. So my next one is Hateful Eight. The Hateful Eight. I like that movie a lot. It's one of the ones I've seen more recently by him, so it's still pretty fresh in my head. Um, I like it. I like how it's kind of like a cowboy whodunit kind of thing, where you know that there's a whole bunch of characters stuck in one room who cannot leave, who are all just awful people, and it's that none of those people I would ever want to spend a minute in the same room with, let alone like have be forced to stay in that room with all of them. And I'm not really a big person on Western movies and stuff like that, but I do like Quentin Tarantino's takes on them. Uh, because I feel like they're always something that's action packed, but with a really cool story too. So it's kind of like I said before, it's kind of like a whodunit. You're trying to figure out like something is wrong. One of these things is not like the others. Uh, and it has to do with bounty hunters and criminals and surviving this snowstorm stuck in this one room with all these crazy characters. Uh, again, Samuel L. Jackson is in it. He's the main guy, and Kurt Russell, and I freaking love Kurt Russell too. So anything with those two, I will definitely go see. And just the way it plays out, I like it. I'm a big fan of that movie.
Um, get this. I'm actually not a big country western kind of guy either. Like I like Sharon Stone's Quick and the Dead with Leonardo DiCaprio. I like certain basically I like movie western movies whenever you're having like a shootout type of thing going on. You know, like where they're facing
Yeah.
off against each other, seeing who is the best shooter. I like those kind of westerns and everything, kind of like the good, the bad, and the ugly. But what I liked about here's the thing, I liked aspects of this movie. I didn't really like it. That's why it's not really on my list. But I like the fact that it's all set in one room. It's kind of like a clue type movie that's actually in the Western days. And then, of course, you also have Walter Hoggins, I think is his name, that plays the sheriff in it.
Yes, and he
And
is also awesome in that movie.
the
He
very
is
first
great.
time, to be honest with you, the very first time I saw Walter Hoggins, he was actually playing a transvestite in Sons of Anarchy.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
actually never watched Sons of Anarchy, and everybody always gives me crap for it.
it's
But
good. It's a good show,
yeah, everyone tells me that. I just never.
but
It's not that I never got into it. I never watched it. So.
right, but Walter plays a woman that's named Venus, and and the way that he carries himself in that show is just great. And the way that he also carries himself in the Hateful Eight is really good because Walter has so many layers that he can actually unpack if he's given the right kind of role and
Yeah.
everything. He's not one dimensional when he's acting. It's the according to the character that he has to play that he either plays one dimensional or he plays several different layers to that character. But like you mentioned too, though, too was the fact that everybody's trapped inside this whole entire cabin together, and they all don't even like each other.
Oh, they hate each
And
other.
everybody is backstabbing somebody. Everybody's trying to kill somebody. Nobody is safe in this cabin. You don't even want to be locked up in this cabin with them. That's how bad they are.
Oh yeah, and you're suspicious from the very beginning too. It's
Right.
another thing. Like from the very beginning, like something here is not right, and it's just good. I like that movie a lot.
I like that too, and then also too the built up towards the end of it, and then of course you also have Channing Tatum in it too, and I'm hoping that he dies in like the first 10-15 minutes, but but I really like the fact that Tarantino actually did something a little bit different outside of his realm. I remember when his script got leaked for the Hateful Eight at the point where he didn't even want to do this movie.
Yeah, he was really upset about that, and I think Samuel L. Jackson is the one who actually talked him into doing it, being like, no, you still got to go through with this.
Right. He talked him into it, but not only that, but whenever he did the reading for the script to certain audiences, like he ended up taking a day out of his time and talked to some film students and everything and did a reading of the script. And that's what made him feel passionate to actually film it too.
I'm happy he did. I'm happy he did. Because that would have been a shame if this got left, just piling dust somewhere.
Right, because I remember he was actually wanting to retire after the Hateful Eight, and then of course, a couple of films later, he still
Oh
was
yeah.
still doing his thing. But I can appreciate what he did with the Hateful Eight and everything. I'm not going to down the movie at all because I did enjoy the aspects of that movie. But is there anything else that you want to add for the Hateful Eight, though?
No, not really.
All
It's a
right,
good movie.
let's see here. For me, for number 5 is Jackie Brown,
Okay.
and yeah, and of course, what I liked about this was whenever Tarantino decided to make Jackie Brown, he did a whole bunch of soul music. He was listening to soul music and stuff like that, trying to build the character for Jackie Brown. And of course, it also has Samuel L. Jackson in it. And, I really have to say this was actually one of my favorite ones in the 90s. And basically, the plot is when flight attendant Jackie Brown is busted for smuggling money for her arm dealer's boss, Odell Robbie. That's Samuel L. Jackson's character. Agent Nick Nolte, played by Michael Keaton, and Detective Mark Dargis, Michael Bowen, want her help to bring down Robbie, facing jail time for her silence or death or for her cooperation. Bowen decides instead to double cross both parties and make off with the smuggled money. So there again, you have someone backstabbing somebody and taking it off with money.
This sounds awesome. Like
It really is. Like
I love Samuel L. Jackson. Michael Keaton is also a super badass character. I mean, come on, he's Batman. So like
exactly.
that's just awesome. This just sounds like a Tarantino movie. That's for sure.
And of course, you know what else I like about it though was the fact that it doesn't lose its flavor when it comes down to that whole entire aspect of him using that music that I mentioned, where it was like the soul type of music. And of course, Samuel L. Jackson's character is this kind of soul type of character in a certain sense, but also, he does the Samuel L. Jackson thing. But, you know, but still, it's such a great movie. The chemistry, the way that everything is set up and everything is really great. I recommend it for not even a one-time watch. This movie you would have to at least watch a couple more times to actually get what's actually going on in the movie itself, because there's a lot of stuff to actually process, of course, and of course it actually heats up at like towards the end of it. And this is hands down one of my favorite Tarantino movies, aside from True Romance and Reservoir Dogs. But Jackie Brown to me is like a highly underrated Quentin Tarantino film because nobody really watched Jackie Brown, at
Yeah,
least too much.
I didn't watch it. It's on my list. That's definitely true. That and True Romance. Uh, but yeah, it sounds awesome. It sounds really cool. I definitely want to see that.
Um, what's on your number 5?
The next on my list is From Dusk Till Dawn.
All right, that's actually my number 8, so I can.
It's he didn't direct it, but he starred in it and he wrote it. It's directed by Robert Rodriguez, and but that movie is just filled with epicness. It's just so awesome. It's a vampire movie that is pretty unlike pretty much any other vampire movie you've ever seen. Because normally a vampire movie, it's stick to the shadows, don't let the world know, stealth and take out your prey quietly. And this is like, all right, sun's down, let's murder all these people in this freaking strip club in the most violent way we possibly can. And
And
it's
God knows
just
how many times that they actually killed people, and then after that cleaned up the mess, and then lured more people
Oh yeah, I mean, so much bleach. I can't even imagine how much
in.
they pay in cleaning supplies. But oh, it's a really campy movie and it's really cheesy, but in like the best way possible. It is just so awesome. And you got George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino playing brothers who are criminals. They're trying to get through Mexico to to their freedom, and then you got other people like Danny Trejo being super awesome with a friggin' gun on his belt. It's just ridiculous stuff like that. It's just such a badass movie. The pastor. I'm pretty sure. If I remember correctly, he blesses their bullets at one point.
Yeah, he blesses the
like,
bullets so that way he can take down vampires.
it's just so much ridiculous shit, but it's so freaking awesome.
It was because get this, it was actually a new spin on vampires that we haven't seen before. Where okay, he's blessing bullets because you don't have actual holy water, so he's gonna bless bullets instead.
It's just fantastic. It is so campy, but it's in the
It
best
works.
ways possible. It's not campy and you're watching and you're like, you're watching it and you're like, this is so cool.
What I loved about it was the fact is, it doesn't even seem like it's setting up for a vampire type movie at all. It just seems like that these two brothers, one is a smart one, the other one's just a dim-witted pervert.
Quentin Tarantino.
Right.
Spoiler
Who
alert.
can't shut up and run his mouth. And of course, they try and go through the border of Mexico in that pastor's RV and everything. And here he is trying to hit on the pastor's daughter, who's like 15, 16 years old.
I think the best part about it is you're right. Like you have no idea this is a vampire movie going in. You're just like, okay, so this is a bunch of criminals trying to kidnap people in the skate, and then all of a sudden, holy crap, it's a vampire movie.
Right, and not only that, but George Clooney and them were actually going to Mexico to meet up with somebody to do some type of deal, and then the twist ends up happening. And what I loved about too was whenever you have Cheech Marinette going and saying, "Well, we got this kind of titties, we got this titty, we got that," and and then Salma Hayek walks on the stage, and I'm just drooling on myself the whole entire time because let's just say that's actually my Latina wife that she doesn't even know that I'm married to her, but she is just great in that movie. And then her doing the stripping and everything, and striptease and everything. I mean, it was just phenomenal to me.
Oh yeah.
But like I said before, the very first time I saw her in a movie was Desperado. But what else I liked about it was, yeah, like you mentioned before, it's campy. It's very campy and cheesy, but it works for its universe that they created. And, I really have to say that is one of my favorite movies that Robert Rodriguez actually directed.
Yeah, it's just a fantastic movie. It is. It's so fun. And Robert Rodriguez, he's done a lot of other movies that I like Sin City. I absolutely love Sin City. And I believe he did Sin City 2. Uh, and like he's just awesome. But this movie is fantastic.
Let's see here. For number 6 is Kill Bill Volume 1.
Okay, so that's on my list too. It's a little bit farther down, but it is a pretty awesome movie. It's really well known, for good reason. But why is it one of your favorites, Sean? Please enlighten us.
Because I love revenge type stories. That's why. I love revenge tales.
Oh, that's definitely a revenge tale.
And I love the fact that Uma Thurman, this is actually one of my first times that I actually got to see a revenge tale told behind the lens of a woman versus a man. And it just shows you the levity of what Uma Thurman can do and everything. There's like so many layers that she actually unpacks in this movie for this whole entire thing. And of course, she wakes up from a coma, and all the events, all the flashbacks, everything takes place, and it goes up to from back before the coma and then after the coma. And then once it goes into present day, it just doesn't slow down. It's just a speedy process all the way through. And then that sword fight and everything. That's what I loved. I loved the sword fight, the theme song music. I love that whole entire aspect. There's even to me, with her wearing that yellow jumpsuit, that was like a throwback to Bruce Lee for me. And having that little 70s fighting style kind of movie to me. That's what it looked like to me. That's why I love Kill Bill Volume 1.
So I love Kill Bill Volume 1 too, and that's another one where he uses a lot of the same actors. Uma Thurman, Michael Madsen, and a couple other people appear in his movies. And if I remember correctly, I heard this. I think it was when they were working on Pulp Fiction together, him and Uma Thurman. They actually came up with the idea for Kill Bill, and it wasn't until like years later that they were actually able to do it. Um,
See, I didn't know that.
yeah, I'm remember reading that somewhere, and that like they were kind of talking about this movie already, like oh, it's some revenge female perspective movie with sword fights. It's like oh, that's awesome. Um, I love that movie. It is awesome. It is a super cool like sword fights. Sword fight movies are few and far between that are that action packed. Like I mean, there's movies like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon and stuff like that. And there's movies like that, but I feel like it's more like skillful. The crane and all this stuff. And meanwhile these are just like chopping off as many limbs as possible in the coolest way. Like especially that dojo fight scene or
Oh,
where she's fighting like freaking 30 people.
that's the scene that I'm talking about. That's the scene that I love. Is that
That
dojo?
scene is so cool, like so
It
badass.
really is. It
Um,
shows why you're invested into this movie in such a way.
and the choreography, like how smooth it all is while still so crazy, it's just awesome. And it is a great movie. I absolutely love it. It's cool. I like that movie a lot.
So, what's next on your list?
What is next on my list? Let's see. Uh, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Okay, that's actually my number 8. So, we're going. No, you're
Um,
good.
that movie, I only saw it a couple weeks ago. I red boxed it to see it because I've been wanting to for a while. It's got Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, and Quentin Tarantino directed it. So, and follows like the Manson murders a little bit. So I was like, all right, like this is a movie I want to see. And it's another one of those fake history things where it uses a historical event, but it is so far detached from what really happened that it's just fiction based on small parts of history. Sorry, excuse me.
It's okay.
But it's I really like it. I really like the chemistry between Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt's characters. They're best friends, and they're really struggling, but they like kind of lean on each other, pull each other together in the best ways possible. And it's all leading up. It's definitely a slow burn kind of a movie. Like that something big is coming, but you don't know when it's actually going to happen. It's pretty long too.
Yeah, like a 2 hour and I want to say 45-minute movie.
Yeah, it's close to 3 hours, and for most of that movie, it's all build up. It's all like explaining their lives, what's going on in their lives, and it's leading up to a moment that is gonna be intense. And when it finally gets to that moment, it's so satisfying. It's such a cool moment, it's so badass what they do, and I like it. It is a slow burn movie. It's one of those movies that you gotta like kind of get into, and just be patient with it. But the storyline is so well written that you get invested in these guys' lives and where they're going and their struggle in Hollywood. The town of stars, and it follows these guys who are just trying to stay afloat in it. And yeah, it's fantastic. It's very well done, in my opinion.
You see, I rented it because of how you reviewed it and everything for the best movies of the decade. And so I decided to go on ahead and rent it and everything, especially whenever I was worried that it was going to be entertaining Charles Manson and stuff like that. But since it was like an what if kind of story scenario, I was okay with it. So I went on ahead, I checked it out. The opening scene for me whenever you first get introduced into Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt's world, where Brad Pitt's the stuntman and Leonardo DiCaprio is the actor. And then, of course, what I loved about it was this, and this is the part that made me laugh. This is the part that made me laugh, though, was the part where they're in the bar and Leonardo DiCaprio is saying, "Yeah, this is my friend and everything. He drives me everywhere." And then all of a sudden, Brad Pitt does a whole entire complete turnaround and goes, "No, this asshole ended up getting a DUI, and now I'm having to drive
It's
him
like
everywhere."
10th DUI or some stupid shit like that. He lost his license, so now he has to.
Right. And that's what made me laugh, though. And then, you see him driving this nice car. You see Brad Pitt driving this nice car and everything up Leonardo DiCaprio's, and then he gets into his car, and it's just a hoopty.
Yep.
It's just a point A to point B kind of car. It's not some of those things that you can actually get lucky with the ladies or anything. The only thing that makes him actually be able to get laid is his looks, pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much.
And, of course, you also see him looking at this one girl, and you're wondering what's going to happen with him and this girl. Because you see her at the red light, you see her around the neighborhood, but you know that Tarantino puts certain people in there for a point. And you're wondering when she's going to show back up again.
And she does.
And I really like that. I really like the fact, he finally picks her up. And she's making moves on him and everything. He's actually scared to even do anything with her. And then, of course, and then I liked it whenever he winds up throwing the Bruce Lee character against.
Oh, that was funny.
The car. That was funny.
That was so funny. um, yeah, I like that movie a lot too. I like the end. I really like the end. I really wish, like it's based on the Manson murders. But it is, Tarantino style history, so it's like the Tarantino alternate universe. I wish that it
Right.
really happened that way. Um, but
Me too.
yeah, it's a great movie. It's a slow burn to a really big explosion, but even that slow burn is something that keeps you on the edge of your seat. That makes you get invested in that movie and those characters and in their lives and what's going on. So, I love that movie. It's so well done.
Same here. And then I love the part where, everything okay?
Yeah, sorry, I was washing my hands.
Okay. But no, my favorite part though too was when Leonardo DiCaprio was sitting in his pool and then all this commotion's going on.
Oh yeah, the freaking flamethrower. I don't even want to. I don't even want to spoil it.
No.
Just let him.
No,
Just let him.
that's all I'm gonna
Flamethrower.
say.
Great.
It made me laugh my ass off. I'm
Oh, me too. Me too. I was
the,
cracking up.
The bear scene that made me laugh, but it's classic Tarantino for what he is, what he's known.
Oh yeah.
So let's see here. For me, I actually have Natural Born Killers as my number 10.
That's my number 9.
Oh, hey, awesome. And it's not even a directed by Quentin Tarantino movie either. It's directed by Oliver Stone.
But Tarantino is the writer, and I actually didn't know that for the longest time. I had no idea that he wrote it.
It's very different.
Yeah.
But in case anybody's wondering what the actual plot is, it's Woody Harrelson and Juliette Lewis are two young, attractive serial killers who become tabloid TV darlings thanks to pretty much just this guy who's a press led by Robert Downey Jr. The press reports that the pair as they go on a 52 people's killing spree. And the thing is, you're wondering, too, if Robert Downey Jr. is going to get out of this whole entire situation as well because of the stuff and the events that happens inside the jail cell with these people. And everything.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. It's based on a real serial killer couple, too.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, look up Charles Starkweather, and his girlfriend. I forget his girlfriend's name, but the movie is based largely on their killing spree, where the boyfriend and girlfriend killing her parents and going with her to go kill other people on kind of like a ruthless, like no real rhyme or reason, just oh, see this couple on the side of the road, I'm gonna murder them, like. And so yeah, Charles Starkweather, and that's what the movie is loosely based on. Uh, so it's pretty messed up.
What did you think of the pacing of the film and also the direction that it went in?
I like it. It's definitely a different kind of you can see the Tarantino in it, but it's still slightly different from a lot of his other movies. Woody Harrelson, I love him. He's a phenomenal actor in just about everything he does. He is scary in this movie. He is so dark in it. And then you got and then you got other people like Rodney Dangerfield in it. We got Jared Harris and people who you wouldn't really you mentioned before Robert Downey Jr. People you wouldn't really expect to be in this movie because it is really bloody and really brutal.
It really is.
It's literally about a serial killer killing spree couple and their,
And
I guess, adventure you could call it.
right.
It's messed up, but it's done so well that it's a really good. My mom hates this movie, by the way.
She does.
Yeah, because she thinks it's like it's too much for her. Is what she said. She's like, nah, it's too much for me. And I was like, yeah, I could see that, but
Me too. But it's instant classic. I mean, you have Robert Downey Jr., who's playing this snarky kind of press guy.
you mean Robert Downey Jr. playing
Yeah, that's
Robert
what I'm
Downey
saying.
Jr.
Yeah, pretty much. Or Tony Stark.
Pretty much.
Because, you can actually see some Tony Starkisms inside that whole entire National Born Killers type of thing. Where he's just trying to get TV ratings, basically. And trying to get the hype so the way his channel or whatever is actually going to be able to be number one in a sense, because he's got Woody Harrelson, who's actually the number one national born killer on there and being interviewed. And it's just chilling mind boggling on how great Woody Harrelson actually is and how dark that character is.
Yeah,
And
definitely a messed up movie, but very well done.
that's why that movie is actually my number 10 on the list.
All right,
So,
so my last movie on the list is Kill Bill Volume 2. Uh, so I like Kill Bill Volume 1, obviously, but it's a movie that you need a part two for. It doesn't finish the story. So Volume 2, I don't like it as much as I like Volume 1, obviously, but I think it was still a pretty awesome movie. There's some really cool scenes in it. Where she's it kind of goes more into the background of why she's trying to get this revenge so desperately. Like the first story, you know why, but the second one delves deeper into it, as to like her real reasons for doing so and the people who are trying to stop her and everything, and what their reasons are for. Um, and I like it. It's not, as good as the first one. Most sequels usually aren't, in my opinion, but it's still a badass movie. Uma Thurman is still, kicking ass and taking names with her sword, so I like it.
you see, that's not even on my list at all because I enjoyed aspects of it, but it's not something that I could actually say that, wow, this movie is fantastic. But
Yeah,
I
that's
do
why
want,
it's last on my list.
but you know what though? They're actually still talking about making a volume three.
Really, that would be
Yeah.
interesting.
They're still Tarantino, I think, is still trying to play around with how he can make a part three. So I would love to see a part three to that.
Oh yeah, I'd see it. I'd still go.
But anyways, is there anything else that you wanted to add to anything, any honorable mentions or anything like that, or you're good?
Um, Not really. Tarantino was in Little Nicky. That's about it.
I forgot that he was in Little Nicky.
Yeah, he played
That's right. He
one of the
played the
side characters. I forget who though.
wait. He played the priest.
Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Um,
Because I could see his face and everything. Okay.
and and then he was Elvis and the Golden Girls, and that's what I want to throw in there.
Well, he was even in a Desperado cameo for in that Antonio Banderas movie.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was the guy who was like, you know what? This reminds me of a joke. And matter of
Oh
fact,
yeah.
yeah, it was the guy who made that joke. Like he goes in the bar. Of course, Cheech already pisses inside the beer, and they're drinking actual piss. And Tarantino's over there drinking it. He goes, you know what? This reminds me of a joke once. And he goes, the way the joke actually went, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit because it's been forever, but he goes, I bet you $10 that I can piss in that in that um in that bottle right over there. The bartender's laughing. He goes, okay, you're on. The guy whips out his thing, goes on ahead, starts pissing everywhere, all over the bar, all over the bartender. He's laughing. The bartender thinks he's actually got the money. Then all of a sudden he goes, what are you laughing about, idiot? He goes, I bet those other guys at the pool table that I would piss on you, piss on the bar, piss all over the place, and you wouldn't even be mad about it.
Yeah, that's nice.
And that was my favorite Quentin Tarantino part in the whole entire movie.
That's
And
fantastic.
but I think that's gonna do it for now for Movie Lovers Unite. Tell people where people can reach you at, Rick, if they want to follow you.
I have run a Facebook page called The Joker Unleashed. It's all about the Joker and Batman and mostly Joker, but we share news and artwork and all kinds of stuff like that. So if you want to get in touch with me there, give it a follow. It's a pretty cool page. You'll probably like it if you are into bloody mayhem like Quentin Tarantino style movies.
And of course, I'm also one of the admins for the page and everything else as well. I go by Johnny Frost. So if you want to also go on ahead, give it a like, go ahead and do that. And of course, if you want to follow me, you can go on ahead and follow me on Twitter at John DeGregorio, or you can follow me at Movie Lovers Unite on Twitter, or you can follow me on Instagram at Movie Lovers Unite.
Do it. Follow on all of it.
On all that other social media stuff, you know where to find me. And of course, you can also find me on Facebook at Movie Lovers and TV Lovers Unite. And this is going to be it for the podcast for tonight. And of course, stay tuned until next time, and bye-bye. All right.
Bye.
See you, Rick.
Peace.